Welcome to Auntie K's, your favorite radical queer indigenous auntie, bringing you tarot every day. Hi folks, and welcome to Auntie K's Tarot. We are here today to do a VR, and this is a VR mashup. So the original VR is Aquamarine 18's Book VR and Katie Flowers' Top 10 VR that Peekaboo Rose put into a mashup VR. I also am going to link Shuffle Tarot's Top 10 VR and Musings by Masha's Top 10 VR because I was watching all of those as some video therapy the other week, and I was enjoying both of them. But I didn't think either of them were for me until Peekaboo Rose mashed them up together, and I was like, oh, this is my VR. All right, so we are going to get into it, and I am going to start with the book portion of the VR as Julie over at Peekaboo Rose did. Do I read books in a certain place? No, I read books anywhere. I read books in the bath. I enjoy reading books curled up in a chair or on a couch. I read books curled up in a bed, but I do not read at bedtime. Reading does not put me to sleep. It wakes my mind up hugely. So I do my best to not read after 9:30, 10 p.m. But I don't have a specific place to read a book. Bookmark or random piece of paper, I fold my pages. Okay, I'm into bookmarks. I lose them. I like the little magnetic ones. I lose them. Or my kid plays with them. I'm not sure. They disappear. And I fold my pages. I do fold pages. Can I just stop, or does it have to be at the end of a page, paragraph, or number of pages? I'm a parent of 6. I should have learned to be like, and I stop here. I've never pulled that off. I like to finish at the top of the next page, a few sentences in, so I know, oh yeah, I was here. That is my preferred place to stop. I can do end of a paragraph if I have to. Do I eat or drink while reading? Yeah, I eat or drink while reading. Okay, I fold book pages down, so obviously I'm not, fearful that I'm going to ruin my book with some food or drink. I'm not fearful of that. Multitasking. Do I listen to music or TV while reading? No, I do not. Scientific truth about multitasking is not real. When you attempt to multitask, your brain just starts and stops over and over and over again. And in doing so, it loses some information from both sides. So I don't multitask because it is scientifically ineffective, but we fool ourselves into thinking it is effective. And I have a stellium in Aries in my 9th house, which is ruled by Sagittarius. And I want all the knowledge, which I am not actually going to get if I multitask, so I don't do it. One book at a time or several. I definitely prefer one book at a time. If it's heavy, then it's several because I'm reading a bit, putting it away, reading it a bit more. And so then it's technically several, but so I do that for like heavy information books. If I'm reading fiction, I'll generally read one. if I start reading a second fiction book, it's because it wasn't all that good. And I tend not to end up finishing it. Or I'll attempt to and admit I wasn't really enjoying it, and that's why I started a second one. But if it's something heavy, I do tend to read multiple ones at a time. And reference books, do you ever finish reading a reference book, or do you just keep re-referencing it? All right. At home or everywhere. I can read away from home. I have, at times, chosen to take a book with me camping or to the park. Actually, when my oldest kids were younger, I always took a book to the park because I realized that when I would watch them intently on the playground as they did risk-taking things, I, as their mother, would get nervous and be like, and that would inevitably actually cause an accident because there was a surprise, shock, scared sound, so they stop or let go, and then they fall. So I would bring a book to help me not fully pay attention to my kids at the park so that they could play without their mother making things more dangerous by my nervous reactions to their natural, healthy, risk-taking inclinations. Reading out loud or in your head. In my head. I struggle to read out loud. I have children, so I've obviously read out loud to my children and other people's children, but I'm not very good at it. And I used to really dislike it. But I'm kind of okay with it now because I think it was actually beneficial to my children, especially those with perfectionist tendencies, to hear me not read out loud perfectly. It allowed for mistakes. So I struggle to read out loud. I go too fast. I get ahead of myself. I miss words. Anyway, so there you go. Breaking the spine or keeping it like new. I totally break the spine. It's a pain in the butt to read a book that won't open properly. I totally break the spine. Do I write in my books? So, if the book police aren't already after me, back off, because I hate cops. I write in my books. I know some people write like editors fixing punctuation and spelling. I tend not to notice that. I argue with the author in the columns when I think they're wrong. And sometimes that's a good thing. Most of what I read does happen to be reference kind of books. And so I'll argue with them and tell them that they're wrong. I have a book on polyamory that I have notoriously written through the comments and end of page spaces. But my friends have found it beneficial because when they're interested in polyamory, I'm like, read this book. You're going to get this lady's opinions and a whole bunch of my opinions. And where I don't exactly agree with her, but it's still a great book. That'd be Wendy O'Maddock's book on polyamory. So I write in books in probably pretty atypical ways. And also historical fiction, when it's historically inaccurate, me writing and correcting them. So those are my book reading habits. You can decide for yourself whether or not you're ever going to lend me a book. I do not write in other people's books, except for my one friend who gave me permission because she also writes in her books in the same manner that I write in my books, and was like, I'm interested in your thoughts and disagreements with the author. Please write in my book. But I do have enough ethics not to write in a book that isn't mine without explicit permission. All right, my top 10 decks, Tarot and Oracle. Now, I know that Nina at Shuffle Tarot, I included her deck in her top 10, but Julie changed the rules in the mashup on Peekaboo Rose and said that your own deck doesn't count because obviously you're already keeping it. So, Oracles of Colonization, it's actually a single deck that I just put upside down. So it's a super deck. They're together, so I would have counted them as one and not two. Anyway, but they're my freebie, and you can go argue on Peekaboo Rose's channel if you don't think that counts, because she changed rules. So this is my freebie. I should put it aside so I know it's my freebie. 10. Well, we all know that the Next World Tarot is coming in here. We've all heard me, croon over the Next World Tarot. We all know I love this deck. And so obviously this is going in my top 10. Next World Tarot. All right. My newest favorite, Dream Vision Tarot by Emma Zhang is, it has instantly become my fave, along with Next World Tarot by Christy C. Rode, and Landback Tarot and Oracle of Colonization by myself, Andy K. This deck I'm in love with, and it is 100% going in here. Totally going in here. The Zombie Oracle by Dragorsi Tarot is totally coming in my top 10 with me. So I'm at 3 already. The Zombie. Let go. So this, I really enjoy this one. I automatically reached for this deck the other day for inner child work. And then I was like, is that weird? But actually, zombies are such great metaphors for so many things. I don't think it is. All right. So, oh, I'm struggling on these oracles. Which ones? Because I'm going to run out. Okay. So, there's 4 oracle decks here, which automatically puts me up to 5 oracle decks. Okay, so the Wyld Witch Oracle is an oracle deck that I really happen to love. Yes, my cards are upside down half the time, all the time. I love this deck. I really do. The Serpent Witch shows you how to shed what was to prepare for what is to be. The Witch of Encouragement. I did my best. The Botanical Witch will grow seed to success. The Children's Witch. You can slow down. I think this deck is brilliant. I really, really like it. The Earthcrafter's Oracle. Everyone knows I love this deck, right? We all know I totally love the Earthcraft Oracle deck. Love it. Really, really love it. Absolutely. Absolutely, I would want to keep this deck. All right. And similarly, these 2 decks are so similar for me. The Prairie Majestic Oracle, I also really love. It has a guidebook. I don't feel I need it between the question and this, but then there's times where I also really appreciate there being a guidebook. So I still have my Oracle decks in the big pouch together, even though you can see I've put them all back in order. I don't know. I feel I can reach over there and get the same effect and have them in order for moments when I do want them in order. And because there were different sizes, I found I wasn't, some of them were getting lost because they were slightly smaller. So I separated them out. All right. Messages from your higher self. I'm holding it saying, what if this means I don't have enough tarot decks? And looking at my other beautiful Oracle decks. Okay. I'm going to place it here right now and think about it. Damn. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This makes 7. This is Latero Archetypal. It is a Marseille deck. I'm going to be making a Marseille deck, so I'll get to have another freebie. And I like this Marseille deck. It's not typical, but it's also diverse. And I really like the art on it. This is 100% staying in my collection. Okay. All right. 7. Damn. All right. 8. Okay. This is Desert Illuminations. This deck, sorry, I will put who every deck is by in the comments and list it, because I know I haven't done it here. This deck is, yeah, we won't backtrack. I'll put them in, or I'll put it up in the bottom when I edit. So this is by Lindsey D. Williams. And this is Desert Illuminations. And I love this deck. It is diverse. And it's largely diverse with, the mix is largely indigenous and white. Yes, I consider the majority of people south of the U.S. border indigenous. The majority of them are, not all of them. This deck, is culturally relevant to me, also on a nerd level. And I really enjoy using this deck. I do. And this is a deck I would not want to part with. My 21-year-old asks, do I get this deck when you give it up? I'm like, I'm not giving it up. We're going to have to order you your own copy or something. So this deck is staying. That brings us at 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shit. All right. Mystic Medleys. This deck's fun. And clearly from what we've seen so far, I need a bit of that. This deck's fun. This deck's easy to read. It's the closest thing I have to an RWS clone. And so Mystic Medleys is making my cut. Crap. I'm supposed to be at 9. And you know what? I'm going to put back Earthcraft. I'm going to put back Earthcraft. Because I do indeed reach more for decks. I like an Oracle deck where I don't need the guidebook. As much as I love the guidebook, I do like the ease of not having the guidebook. And Prairie Majestic gives me that. As does the Wyld Witch and the Zombie Oracle. So I'm back down to 8. Okay. Energy Archaeology, 9. Energy Archaeology is, I mean, I still need, totally 100% need the guidebook for Energy Archaeology. But I'd keep this deck for personal use, if nothing else, because I'm working with this deck and working with my body and its hurts and pains and injuries and traumas. So I have a personal need to keep this deck. So Energy Archaeology is going to replace Earthcraft. Man. You can see I'm still not certain about this. All right. Shit. I have one more spot. Okay, here's the deal. I love Mari in the Skies deck. I think it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's culturally relevant. And it's not the deck I reach for the most at all. And I am a more practical person than a sentimental person. And sentiment means unless something happens where I actually had to choose 10 decks, I will keep this deck, even if it's a deck I only use like once a month or less. I will always keep a copy of this deck. It was the first authentically indigenous deck I ever held or saw. And sentiment will make me, in reality, always keep this deck. But as someone said, you can only have 10. Practicality and logic would win in my mind. And I never thought I would buy Lightseers. It is below 50% diversity. It's like 25-30% diversity. Which I know Chris-Anne is praised for how diverse her decks are, but I actually consider that low level diversity, and I like 50 to 60% diversity in my deck. I want my deck to be 60% or more BIPOC. And Lightseers does not cut it for me. And you know, Kim at Abundant Life Tarot raves about this deck nonstop. I wanted to compare it to the Muse Tarot, which I'm not all that interested in. I have it. But this deck is super easy to read, and that practicality is a factor for me. And I like the modern images. I do. I like the modern images. The people, I like their faces. I like the faces of the people in this deck. And that's, I think one of the things I really like about this deck is the faces of the people. I can really relate to their faces. And I suspect that's because of how the art was done. Like, this is, you know, a vector art where they've traced over and drawn over free stock images. And so that's why the faces are so fantastic. I don't have proof that's how they're done. There's a lot of evidence out there, including people finding the free stock images these images came from. But it makes it a really easy to read deck. And if I was cut down to the wire, I would make a practical decision over a sentimental decision at the end of the day. Also, what might be interesting of note, I have 2 decks on my wish list that are oracles. That when I was thinking about this, and I was like, maybe I'll only do 8 because I want these 2 decks so badly. Maybe I'll only do 8. But I struggled to cut it down to 10, even though Julie at Peekaboo Rose gave me a freebie with my own deck, which gave me another freebie because it's an Oracle Tarot deck combined. They're literally combined. I, for real, get to do that. The decks I super, super want, they're like huge on my wish list, is the Morning Calm Oracle and Ratty Runes by Nina at Shuffle Tarot. They're on my wish list. I have told the adult children who remember to buy gifts at times that they'd make good solstice gifts. But I'm also not counting on that. And then I would cut 2 decks. But I don't know which ones now, so sort of irrelevant information tacked on at the end of this video for you all. What would I replace it with? I mean, what would I replace it with? I think it would push Light Seers out. And, then I don't know about the other one. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So that is my mashup VR. Thank you to everybody whose video responses inspired me, and even more so, thank you for being there on YouTube, making videos when I needed an escape and came to your channels and found, oh, my Pisces moon is about to fucking cry. And found videos that were perfect for healing mind and emotion. So I thank you for that. All right. I will see you all later. Have a great day, and check out the decks in the comments, and check out my links in my comments, Discord, Patreon, and my website where you can book your own personal readings with me.